Friends, welcome to Dr. Karamura's B2B Medicine. This is pharmacology series for you. Today we are going to start our pharmacology lectures and with some basics of pharmacology from general pharmacology. You all know general pharmacology is about pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics. Our today's topic of discussion is pharmacokinetics. Here, let's start with the basic only. Pharmacos, pharmacos, this term pharmacos stands for drug, whereas this term kinetics stands for movement or motion. You all have come across the term kinetics while your physics in your high school science. This kinetics term stands for motion or movement. You can call it simply movement. Now, while I am just making this term to split, it means you need to know the basic definition of pharmacokinetics. This is movement of drug. This is nothing but movement of drug. Now, drug, when we talk of drug, the movement of drug is through the body. Okay, say a person is taking a drug. I'm just drawing schematically. A person is taking a drug. Say this is a drug. Okay, and that drug is going to enter inside the body, and at the end the drug is going to get exit out of body. So right from entry of drug to the exit of drug, this drug is moving through the body. Right from entry to exit, this drug is moving through the body, and this movement of drug is pharmacokinetics. Now it's not so simple. Actually, you must have come across some definitions of pharmacokinetics in books, like what a body does to drug is kinetics, pharmacokinetics. But this definition is not going to clear your all ideas. Here, this definition, what I am telling you, is going to clear your all ideas. See, this movement of drug through the body. Okay, let's give an example. Whenever you are going to have some movement means we'll call it beautiful journey. Fine. Say you are going to Mumbai, your train is in the evening, and you catch up the train. You are going for some marriage function. Okay, so you are getting ready for marriage function. You look beautiful or you look handsome. The time you are getting ready, fine. The time you are reaching your station in the Mumbai, you are not the same the time you left. Fine. There are many changes in you. Your hairs are like crumbled. You don't look that good. That means there are changes even in your appearance when you are making some journey. Likewise, this drug is moving to the body, and this movement is going to cause some changes in the drug. It is going to cause change the concentration of drug. You must have observed whenever you are taking some drug, the same amount of drug is not excreted out of body. That means this movement is going to cause some changes in concentration of drug. So this is what the definition of our pharmacokinetics. That means movement of drug through the body from the point of entry. This point of entry is nothing but your route of administration of drug. It may be oral, IV, subcut, IM. So from the point of entry to its point of exit, and this movement is leading to the change in concentration of drug. So simply giving whole idea, the definition is movement of drug leading to change in its concentration through the body. Is it clear? So this definition is going to clear your idea. Now, as I gave example of journey, whenever you are in journey, so you get some stations in between. Whenever you are going to Mumbai, you get some station in between your two stations, final stations. Likewise here, when drug is moving through the body, there are certain components. Okay, so let's see what are the components of pharmacokinetic. In simple word, what are the station that my drug is going to follow while going to its final destination, that is exit out of the body. Let's see what are the components. So there are four components. First one is absorption. So drug need to be absorbed through the body membranes to reach its destination. We'll discuss about absorption in detail. Then second one is distribution. Third one is metabolism, and the last one is excretion. So you have four components of pharmacokinetics. First one is absorption, second one is distribution, third one is metabolism, the last one is excretion. Okay, let's discuss one by one. Okay, so our journey has begun, and now our first station has arrived, that is absorption. So before discussing it in detail, I'll just draw a schematic presentation that will clear your ideas to much extent. See, here I am drawing food pipe. That is, this pipe represents schematically food pipe, right from your mouth to your anal end. Say it is per oral, this is your per rectal. Just next to it, I am going to draw liver. Say this is your liver. Then I am going to draw systemic compartment. That means your blood system. Say this is all your systemic compartment, means your blood vessels. The square is schematically presenting your blood vessels. Whereas this is what your kidney, ultimately the exit point of the drug. For most of the drugs, excretory system, that is kidney, is the main route of excretion. So let's see. Right from your food pipe to your excretion, that means point of your entry to your point of exit, the drug is going to have some journey. And we have just seen that there are 4 components like absorption, distribution, metabolism and excretion. Here, say the drug is being taken orally or say drug is being taken rectally. Now, there are multiple routes of administration. You all are familiar with routes of administration like oral, rectal, intramuscular, then intravenous, subcutaneous, inhalational route, transdermal routes. So there are multiple routes of drug administration. Now the drug is going to enter inside the body through one of the route. Say the drug is getting entered in the body through oral or rectal route. If the drug is being taken orally, say it is taken orally, it has to cross this intestinal membrane. That means this intestinal wall is to be crossed, and now the drug will move. After crossing the intestine, the drug will move to liver through portal circulation. You know, there is portal circulation between liver and portal circulation between liver and intestine, and then the drug will pass to liver. Okay, we'll discuss about this later. That liver is site of metabolism. We are going to get into the metabolism later. Now, after going through liver, it has to go to systemic compartment, that is your blood. Okay. If the drug is being taken intravenously or intramuscularly or subcutaneously, so this drug which is taken intravenously or subcutaneously or intramuscular way will directly enter to systemic compartment without crossing this portal circulation or intestinal membrane, portal circulation, liver. Without crossing this much, it will directly enter to your systemic compartment, that is blood chamber. When the drug is being taken orally or rectally, it has to encounter intestinal membrane, portal circulation, liver, and then it reaches to your systemic circulation. Say the first component is absorption. Ultimate destination of drug is your systemic compartment, blood, where the drug is going to produce some action on the receptors. Now, just to reach this systemic compartment, drug is encountering these much obstacles while coming from per rectal or per oral route. So this is going to change concentration of drug. Okay, these obstacles are going to change exact whatever original drug is entering will not reach to your systemic compartment. Whereas when the drugs are given through IV, subcut or IM route, that is parenteral route, the drug will as it is reach to systemic compartment without any change in its concentration. So this is what the basic, the absorption. Okay, say this absorption is nothing but if the drug is reaching here, this drug, this is the ultimate destination. So absorption is nothing but movement of a drug from point of entry, that is route of administration, to systemic compartment or blood compartment. So this movement from entry point, that is route of administration, it may be parenteral route or it may be oral or rectal route. Through any route, ultimately drug has to reach to your systemic compartment. So this movement is now nothing but absorption, your first station, that means your first component of pharmacokinetics. So this drug movement to its first component, through its first component means through absorption, is up to your systemic compartment. Are you getting this? Now, if I am taking drug parenterally, the 100% of the drug will reach to systemic circulation because it has nothing to be encountered. Okay? Actually, there are no obstacles. As it is, drug will reach to your systemic compartment. But the same drug, if taken through per oral or rectal way, it has to encounter many obstacles. It has to encounter many walls, intestinal membranes, then portal circulation. These are liver, hepatocytes membrane. These all are what? These are biological membranes. These are membranes in your blood. These are membranes in your body cells. So your biological membrane is very important when it comes to absorption. Remember this thing. So let's discuss about absorption first. Okay. So let's discuss your absorption. That is, if the drug is taken through oral or rectal route. Okay. So how does this absorption is going to affect ultimate concentration, that is change in concentration of the drug? Let's see. Say this is your biological membrane. If you have come across the actual structure of your biological membrane, it is bilipid, that is lipid bilayer. Okay, biological membrane is made up of phospholipids, a two layer of phospholipid, that means lipid bilayer membrane. Let's draw some structure. This is your lipid bilayer membrane. These strings like parts are nothing but your lipid part, and these heads are your phosphate group. So like this is your biological membrane. It is lipid bilayer membrane. This is bilayer lipid membrane. Are you getting? So whenever drug has to pass through this intestinal membrane, that is for absorption through intestinal membrane, through postal circulation, through liver, through this biological membrane, that is for the absorption of the drug into systemic compartment, you must know what are the factors which are responsible for this entry, that is for this absorption. Are you getting? So let's see the factors. Say this is the drug. What are the requirement of this drug to pass through this biological membrane? Fine. Say, as I said, this is lipid bilayer. That means biological membrane is made up of lipid, primarily of lipids. So anything to enter should be lipophilic, not hydrophilic. You know, oil completely mixes in the oil, but oil hates water and water hates oil. Similarly, if something has to be absorbed or something has to be entered inside this biological membrane, then this something, that is drug, molecule, it may be hormone, it may be some protein, anything, it has to be lipophilic. It has to be lipophilic. The first requirement is lipophilicity. Okay. The second requirement for the absorption, that is whatever is the concentration, ultimate concentration change when it is reaching to your systemic circulation. It is decided by route, you know, rectal or oral route. We just discussed. Drug is going to encounter multiple membranes while reaching to your systemic circulation. Whereas when it is through parenteral route, that is IV route, IM route or subacute route, the drug need not to encounter multiple membrane. That means absorption through those parenteral route was 100% absorption. Is it okay? Whereas when it is through rectal or oral route, there will not be 100% absorption. Fine. So we just discussed that different routes will cause change in concentration in different way. So the route of administration will decide how the absorption will be. Administration is second factor which is going to decide how the absorption should be. The third factor that is going to decide the extent of absorption, that is concentration change, is nothing but your surface area. Say the larger the surface area, the greater will be absorption of a drug. The smaller the surface area, smaller will be absorption of the drug. So it is surface area through which the drug or molecule is going to be absorbed is going to decide the extent of absorption, as well as concentration of drug. Concentration of drug. More the concentration, more the amount of the drug, more is the extent of absorption. So it is concentration of drug. So these are all basic factors which are going to decide amount of factor, extent of absorption. Again, there should be another last factor is vascularity. More the vascular tissue, more will the absorption through it. Okay, so vascularity is another factor which is going to decide extent of absorption through this lipid bilayer membrane. Are you getting this concept? Okay. So these are what factors responsible for absorption of any molecule through lipid bilayer membrane. Now, let's see what kind of what are different types of transport of drug. Means this absorption, that means transport is meant to transport of drug. So what are different way of transport of drug through this biological membrane? Let's see the different way to get across this membrane. So the first way is passive. The transport can be passive, and next way is active. The transport can be active. You all are familiar with this active and passive transports. Okay. So this passive is nothing but simple diffusion. When you are called diffusion, that means from higher concentration to lower concentration. If the drug is moving from higher concentration to lower concentration, high concentration to low concentration, this is nothing but your diffusion, and this diffusion will take place easily because drug being lipophilic, it is easily allowed by your biological membrane, and if it is in higher concentration on one side of biological membrane, it can pass to other side easily. This is called passive transport. This is nothing but simple diffusion. This is passive transport is simple diffusion. It will be simple diffusion, that is from higher concentration to lower concentration. Let's see what is different. Another type of diffusion. There are two types of diffusion. Either passively, which is simple diffusion, and again the passively drug can be transported from higher to lower concentration. But while it comes to simple diffusion, the drug has to be lipophilic so that it should easily diffuse through the membrane. But for those drugs which are not lipophilic or not that much lipophilic or more water soluble, the drug but required by the body, your body has made special arrangement for those drugs which it wants. Actually, body is like biased. It does not allow water soluble things, but if body wants something, like body needs glucose, but it is water soluble, it is not lipophilic, but this glucose is going to easily pass through your biological membrane, so body acts as some biased way. This body has made some different arrangement for those whom it like glucose is most favored by the body. So in this way, if the substance is lipophilic, okay, simple diffusion will be there. But if the substance is not lipophilic but has to be transported, then body has made another passive arrangement which is called spatial facilitated diffusion. Now, what is different between this simple diffusion and spatial facilitated diffusion? When it comes to simple diffusion, it is without the help of anything. It is through the membrane from higher to lower concentration because drug is lipophilic. But when it comes to spatial facilitated diffusion, drug is not lipophilic, drug is water soluble. So now body has to make some special arrangement, and that special arrangement is in the form of transporter. So this is what this is transporter. This is what transporter, which is in this biological membrane. Say this is your biological, this bilipid membrane. Here it is transporter sitting at the surface of your biological membrane. This transporter will bind to this molecule and will change its configuration, will let this, and this configuration will change, and this molecule will be left inside the cell with the help of this transporter without actual passive simple diffusing. It is taking help of this transporter so that this molecule should get across the cell, and this is what spatial facilitated. It is kind of spatial arrangement. See, here it is again diffusion. The drug is in higher concentration, molecule is in higher concentration, going to lower concentration, it is diffusion. But it is not simply going through the membrane, it is going with the help of transporter. So this is again a type of passive transport called as spatial facilitated diffusion. You must have come across some transporter like GLUT transporter. We will learn in upcoming series also the that is glucose transporter. There are different types of glucose transporter as in blood-brain barrier. When glucose has to be transported, those transporter will act to facilitate that transport, but in passive way without utilization of energy. The next is active transport. This active transport is mainly carried out through receptors, that is receptor mediated transport. So there are different types of receptors. So receptors are going to take that molecule along with it. So that is called receptor mediated transport, which requires energy. So it is called as active transport. So your absorption of molecule, that is drug, across the membrane is through two ways. One is passive transport, another one is active transport. Passive can be simple diffusion or passive can be special facilitated diffusion through the help of transporter. And your active, which require energy. Why it requires energy? Because active transport is for those drugs which are not in higher concentration on one side. Has to go against concentration gradient. Drug has to go from low to high concentration and requires some energy. A special arrangement is receptor mediated transport is done for that, and that is called active transport. In this way, in these two ways, the absorption is going to take place actively or passively. For some drugs passively, for some drugs actively. And the factors that are going to affect that absorption is either lipophilicity of drug or route. Through whatever route you are taking, it is going to decide ultimately what amount of drug will reach to systemic circulation or surface area. Larger the surface area, say inhalationally I am taking something, my lungs have largest surface area when it comes to internal organ. So inhalational route is fast route. That's why surface area is going to decide. Next one is concentration of the drug, that is amount of the drug. More the amount of the drug, more will be the absorption. Vascularity of that tissue, more the vascular tissue, more will be the absorption of the drug. So these are factors which are going to decide absorption of the drug. Are you getting this? So ultimately what will happen? We just saw schematically there was gut, then it is liver, then it is systemic circulation, then ultimately kidney, through which the drug is going to get exit. Now, after coming through per oral or per rectal route, when the drug is entering to your liver, this liver is the site of first pass metabolism. We will move to metabolism in subsequent lectures, but just remember the metabolism which takes place in liver is first pass metabolism for those drugs which enter through rectal or oral route, because those drugs are going to go to liver first. Before reaching to systemic circulation. The drugs coming from oral or rectal route are going to go to liver first. So it is first pass metabolism, okay, and then it will move to your systemic circulation. Whereas the drugs which are given through parenteral route are firstly going to your systemic circulation and then will come to your general metabolism in the liver itself. But firstly it will reach to systemic circulation and then it will come to your general metabolism in the liver. So remember this thing. First pass metabolism is followed by those drugs which are given orally or rectally, okay, and this first pass metabolism is also going to change concentration of the drug reaching to your systemic circulation. Okay, so the drug when given orally or rectally has to encounter your intestinal membrane, has to encounter portal circulation, has to encounter first pass metabolism, and then it is going to reach to your systemic circulation. There will be lot of change in the concentration, and this gives, means absorption will not be 100%. So this gives rise to another concept of bioavailability. So what is bioavailability? Bioavailability is the fraction of total administered drug that reach to your systemic circulation. Are you getting? Say when orally or rectally drugs are given, it has to cross all the obstacle, even the first pass metabolism. 100% of the drug will not reach. Okay, some drug will be metabolized at the intestinal membrane, some drug will be metabolized, some amount of drug will be metabolized at the liver itself during first pass metabolism, and the remaining amount of the drug will reach to your systemic circulation. Whereas when the drug is given to parenteral route, all the amount will reach directly to systemic circulation. So the bioavailability means fraction of total administered drug. Say if the drug is given rectally or orally, less than 100%, that is whatever amount I am giving, whole will not reach. And when the drug is given parenterally, 100% amount will reach. Say I am giving 100 mg IV, 100 mg will reach to systemic circulation. But when I am taking 100 mg tablet orally or rectally, some suppository is being given, drug is being given rectally, that time 100% will not reach. So the factor that decide what fraction will reach is called bioavailability. Say if the 100 mg of the drug is given and through oral or rectal route, say if the bioavailability of the drug is 50%, that is fraction is 0.5. Fraction bioavailability is expressed in fractions. So if the bioavailability is 0.5, that means 0.5 is bioavailability, means out of 1 only 0.5 is reaching, means only 50% is reaching. Out of 100 only 50 will reach to your systemic circulation. So when the bioavailability is 0.5 and 100 mg is given, 50 mg will reach to systemic circulation. If the bioavailability is 0.6, then 100 mg is given, how much will reach? Bioavailability is 0.6, that means 60% will reach, that means 60 mg will reach. Are you getting? So in this way, the concept of bioavailability says that total administered drug is not going to reach the systemic circulation whenever it is given through oral or rectal route. So whatever fraction is going to reach, that is your bioavailability, and that bioavailability is going to decide what should be dose of the drug. Say if you know IV dose of the drug, for example, say you know IV dose of the drug. Say if a drug has IV dose of 100 mg and you know the bioavailability of that drug. Say bioavailability of that drug, bioavailability is 0.5. Okay, so what should be your oral dose if you need to calculate oral dose? Say oral dose into bioavailability will be your IV dose of the drug. Are you getting? So if you know IV dose, you can calculate your oral dose. Say oral dose, you do not know oral dose, but you know bioavailability is what? Here it is 0.5 and IV dose is 100 mg. See 100, now this bioavailability come here, that is 0.5. So your oral dose has to be 200 mg. Your oral dose has to be 200 mg. So per oral dose into bioavailability is equal to your IV dose. So you can calculate IV dose if you know oral dose and bioavailability, or vice versa, you can calculate your oral dose if you know your IV dose and your bioavailability. So bioavailability is important term, and it is decided by your absorption, that whatever fraction is reaching is bioavailability, and the factors that controls your absorption or that determine your absorption are lipophilicity, route of administration, surface area, concentration and vascularity. So this is about absorption. We will move to our next station of journey, that is our next component is distribution in the next lecture. This is all about today. Thank you very much.